I would like to just share something briefly. Reading through the book of Esther and also looking into the life of Mordecai, I've come to discover that the life of Mordecai is a practical guide to the life of anyone that possibly intend to accommodate anyone, regardless of the age. But basically children that are not your biological children, or accommodating anyone that are not in any way biologically related to you. The book of Esther becomes a practical guide. Most significantly, the life of Mordecai. When we look into the book of Esther, you see how Mordecai, treated Esther. And the record have it that both parents were gone, and this man was saddled with the responsibility of looking after Esther. And he did it so well that when an opportunity for a queen to be selected was raised, this man wasted no time in recommending Esther, pushing Esther to the next phase of her life, or which invariably became a source of blessing to the entire generation and lineage. And when I place this side by side, the life of an average African leader or family or individual, I discovered that it's not the same. Sharing from experience, I just felt that I need to put this on record, so that I'm sure probably those affected will stumble on it and they will see this. But I just want them to. It's too late. It's too late. But however, it is just to serve as a guide to others, probably going through the same route. Being a young person, lost our dad. We were just 3 when he was just 36, as we're told, and I was barely just 2.5 months old then when he died, and our mom was 26 or thereabout, or 25, and she has to move on. Being a very young lady, she has to move on. But in the process, the 3 of us were, we are at the mercy of family members. But one of the things I discovered that to me, I'm over by His grace over 50, but I've never stumbled on anyone that ever came or to be a friend or associate of my dad. I've never set my eyes on any. And the father side was another terrible experience. Except at a point in time, there was a particular individual, but along the line, they have their own personal problem, and subsequently, ever since then, we've never seen anyone. Except there was a particular individual who claimed to be Uncle Taju, and this one, it was so funny that, at the point in time, one of his family member needed a sales boy, and that was how this one came to contact me. That was barely when I finished the secondary school, and for me to go and work. I worked with the individual he took me to for 1 year, and I was not paid a dime. I wish he would be seeing this, and possibly, I'm sure he probably by now old, if not dead. If he's still alive, I wish he could see this. And also the Alaji, Alaji Murisiku, Jinod, that I worked with for 1 year, nothing. And then along the line, it was so funny that I was later, the way they would lie, that there's another branch somewhere, we want you to have work meritoriously in this place, we want you to also help us to go and oversee another place, only for me to end up in a beans plantation of almost about more than 10 acres as a very young person then. And what was the responsibility? The responsibility I was saddled with was to be chasing birds away from the beans plantation. And these individuals, they have their own children. While I was supposed to be in school, that they were supposed to assist and try to see what they could do, all they were busy trying to do was how to exploit and how to use one, probably because one has no father, that nobody will look after you, nobody will ask after you. And this was their orientation. And a lot of individuals behave like that too. When they have anyone around them, they probably believe that after all, nobody will come for them, nobody will ask after them. Whatever they like, they can do with them. But I just want you to note that sometimes you underestimate the future of an individual you're yet to see. That somebody doesn't have parents he does not rule out the possibility of that individual becoming somebody in future. And so I just want to drop this, that we should just be very, very careful. If you cannot take care of anybody or child, and just don't ask them to come over. Don't use anybody's child as slaves. And I also still remember growing up also staying with my uncle, how occasionally I have to trek from Talabi Street across Shepherd Hill, Abanikoro, cross to the express. From there, sometimes I have to wait for Oluwole vehicle. From there to Yaba, and then when Oluwole drops, then I will have to trek from there to Akoka Primary School. And you could just imagine in primary school, primary three, then also going to primary 4. You could just imagine a child like that left to himself. And then I remember the days of Obasanjo. Ali must go, Obasanjo must die stuff. I got to school that day only for me to see machine gun and the military in front, on parade. I was scared. Luckily enough for me, the school gate was not locked. I had to run into one of to go and hide until I waited till there was no sound any longer. Then I now came out, then to now find my way back home. So many children have died in the process. So many children have been kidnapped in the process, all just because they were staying with some people that have no clear picture of the purpose and future of such children. And then in the process, they treat them the way they feel like, that seems comfortable to them. And I wouldn't want to go into detail of that because the experiences were so bad that I remember there was a time the way I was treated by the wife of my uncle, that sometimes I remember when she would fry cabin biscuits and will be giving 2 slices on Saturday, and that is breakfast. And that breakfast will not be ready until probably around 2. And so you could just imagine. And then on Sunday, she will prepare pap with a tablespoon of bean cake, and so most of the times at most 2. And then that was life. In fact, it was so, I wouldn't want to go into detail. There's so many, it was so terrible that, in fact, I got to a stage one day that I was almost contemplating jumping into a well. That was when I was just, I think, barely 6 years old. I was contemplating jumping into a well to commit suicide and to end everything. Since I don't really have anybody that was probably coming to look after. And then also, these are the people I thought are family member, not knowing that I've entered one chance. Then aside from that experience, there were also instances of people I live with that I also had some shares of very funny experiences with them. Very, very funny experiences until I have to make up my mind to try to see what I could do. And when you also come to church, it's another ball game entirely. Sometimes you'll be thinking that in the family where, probably when individuals are not there, that the church become alternative. No. In some instances, some brethren are not. I remember some of the experiences I went through with people. It was very tough. But amidst of all this, I was still able to, at least God was still able to help. And today, by God's special grace, we really thank God for how far the Lord has helped and things that the Lord, there are so many things that we won't be able to mention on here as a result of how far the Lord has really helped. But I can confidently tell you that the Lord has been so good. I would like to wrap up with an experience with one of another uncle in the family. Like I said, we were 3. I was the last born. I have 2 girls in front. And then there was a particular time I have to take up the responsibility of sending the one ahead of me to school, hoping that when she's done with her school, at least I'll be able to now return back to